For culture.
I said indict, bitch, send that killer down. The whole system is guilty, but indict.
Hey, I'm King, and it's the first episode only radio show that's really. If you want that real, then right place. Cousins and sisters ain't got nothing to lose but us, and we hope by the end of it feel the same. Shout out Emoji Nation, our sponsor. Emoji mean unity. Unity for peace, unity for protection. Act like you. And let me shout out Talk Entertainment for giving us this soapbox to stand. And of course, the lady CEO, aka Prophetess X, for helping us to these interviews. Now, before we get into this, I want to share this quote with this from Frederick Douglass. Geez, his first book, Narrative of the Life of an American Slave, he says, "To the tennis slave, you must make a thought. Tennis slave, you must make a thought." Think about that. A slave can only limit in his degradation, fails to think of it, to really situation and face it head on. This system works hard, each to keep us distracted and continue. All to keep us from thinking our lives are really this way, we can do to change it. Why? Because eventually, that the answer is white supremacy, and the unity is the how. So that's what we're getting into today. We got incarcerated brothers, myself included, here to answer this question. What is white supremacy, and why is it so dangerous? So first up is author, activist, and co-founder of Emoji Nation, my brother, teacher, and comrade, the God, Lord Serious King Markee. Peace.
Peace. What is white supremacy and why is it so dangerous? When directly asked about this topic, many people will begin talking about the effects of white supremacy. They may reference things such as racism and hate crimes targeting blacks and ethnic minorities. They may highlight atrocities such as genocide, colonization, slavery, lynchings, police shootings, or mass incarceration. They may point to white supremacist groups, but all of those things are the effects of white supremacy. None of those things sufficiently answer the question, what is white supremacy? Although they may serve as examples of some of the dangers associated with white supremacy, the truth is, in reality, these examples do not even begin to adequately explain why white supremacy is so dangerous. White supremacy is an idea, and this idea is the foundation that all forms of white domination are built upon. This idea is a subjective reality or internal thought process that causes people to have a view of the world that the white race is superior to all others. From this idea, an ideology was formed, and the ideology or study of this idea's systems includes an interpretation for everything from the existence of a God, the formation of the universe, the creation of life, the differences between the races, economics, and the structure and function of society, institutions, and the government, all of which are scientific disciplines. But the reason why white supremacy is so dangerous is because it provides justification for racial oppression against non-whites by giving a misrepresentation of scientific facts, and it reinterprets these facts to provide the white race with a veneer of morality and divine right for its wickedness. The propagandists of white supremacy use their platforms to give credence to this misinformation campaign. Everyone from anthropologists, archaeologists, historians, popes, and monarchs have all intentionally lied to the public about the inferiority of the black race for the purpose of making the white race appear superior. They have intentionally downplayed or completely ignored the black contribution while romanticizing white barbarity, ignoring white plagiarism of the black culture, and over-exaggerating white contributions to the advancement of civilization. One of the things that makes white supremacy so effective as an ideology is that those who promote this belief system have successfully taught the non-white world to adopt their views, even though this ideology is diametrically opposed to what's in the self-interest of every non-white person. The secret to this doctrine's appeal is you don't have to be white to be a white supremacist. Many non-whites have been trained to think as white supremacists. Unfortunately, merely adopting this ideology does not grant them the access to the privileges and benefits that true members of this racial group enjoy. The ideology prohibits this. The doctrine of white supremacy demands that these be exclusively reserved for whites only. So no matter how well you articulate the English language, no amount of Ivy League schooling, no Masonic signal will ever be enough to help you escape the fact that you are still black, and the benefits that white supremacy provides the white race are exclusively reserved for whites alone. As a tool for social control, the ideology operates covertly. It uses intelligence agents to gather information, and these agents reports are used to make military decisions. These intelligence agents are the non-threatening whites, who in the past came amongst us as traitors and missionaries. Today, The professional choice is politics. Every 4 years, these non-threatening whites come among us to study us and learn our ways. After convincing blacks to trust them, they provide military and law enforcement intelligence reports on how to subdue us, and they coerce blacks around the world into complying with the demands of the white race under the threat of physical force. This permits the white race to exploit our natural and human resources all over the world, which keeps blacks impoverished, while the white man makes himself rich from our labor. Thus, to the untrained eye, the social dynamic and its pattern of social behavior being displayed all around the world seems to affirm the onlookers' belief that blacks are inferior and whites are superior. To those who do not fully understand what white supremacy is and why it is so dangerous, what they see in the world around them seems to reinforce the belief that the white race is superior indeed. They cannot pierce through the veil to perceive the intricate parts involved in keeping this charade going on. Thus, the unconscious black remains oblivious to how they are being used as a tool and slaves to further their own oppression. But in reality, those who accept this ideology are suffering from a form of psychosis. Abnormal Psychology 13th edition defines psychosis as a severe impairment in reality testing. White supremacy promotes the idea that the white race is intellectually superior, physically superior, and morally superior. Yet the scientific facts do not support any of these assertions. To accept the doctrine of white supremacy is to be delusional and not in touch with reality, otherwise known as psychotic. White men have difficulty adjusting to reality whenever their ideas about their racial superiority are debunked. Racial tension and political tension always accompany economic hardships whenever the white unemployment rate in this society reaches the 13% mark that blacks have grown accustomed to. White men get violent and aggressive, and they lash out at innocent people because they cannot cope. They have the highest rate of suicide per year, and this figure increases during this period. The white man just cannot accept the fact that his reality is built upon a lie. He would rather kill the world and himself before accepting the truth that he is not superior. Peace.
What's going on, everybody? You already know it's your girl, Lady CEO, a.k.a. Prophetess Queen X, and I'm here this Friday on For the Culture with a couple of kings, a few kings, rather. Okay, we got King Quent, we got King Markee, and Lord Sirius, who you just heard. So I'm about to dab into Lord Sirius and see how he feels, about white supremacy. I know you just heard his build and everything like that, but you're not here to ask the questions, so I'm going to ask the questions for you. However, if you have questions, more questions, or you feel as though I could have asked something else, make sure you send us your question, concern, or comment to talkofthestreetstv@gmail.com. That's talkofthestreetstv, @gmail.com, and I'll make sure that I forward it over there to For the Culture. Okay, so Lord Sirius, what's going on?
How you doing? How the world doing? Good to be here.
The world is all right. It's all right. It's all right. I'm interested in picking you apart just a little bit, not much, just a little bit for the people. Okay. We heard your spill on white supremacy, but give us your background. I know you've been interviewed on Talk of the Street Entertainment, Street Talk of the Week, and all of that. You can also check him out at his website, LordSiriusSpeaks.com. He has a few lessons on there as well. But I want to hear it from your mouth on this station right here on For the Culture. Tell the people your experience in white supremacy. How does white supremacy affect you directly?
I think, from my perspective, I think white supremacy affects everybody born in America. Everybody living in America is directly and indirectly affected by white supremacy. Even the people who emigrate to America. Once you get on this soil, you are directly affected by white supremacy. And I think the reason that is so is because this whole system is built upon the lie that the white race is superior. And they had to manifest this in order to justify their wrongdoings here in the wilderness of North America as well as all around the globe. And I think that was like from the standpoint of how, the pilgrims came over and raped and pillaged and took the land from the natives and said that they was a group of people who were savages. Like, that was white supremacy. You know what I'm saying? From the standpoint of how they came to the shores of Africa, kidnapped us from our homeland and forced us to migrate over here against our will. And they used their religious doctrines to say that black people were a soulless people who had no religion, had no culture. That was the effects of white supremacy. to the standpoint even today where, you know, how we get stereotypically portrayed as black men as being gangsters and thugs. And when you're walking down the street, or you might find yourself in the elevator with an old white lady, she might clutch her purse because she has bought into the idea of white supremacy. That's what I'm saying. Like, and all these things are the symptoms of the ills of the society we living in. And I think, like, this lie is permeating all institutions within this nation and this government, from the standpoint of the education system, the criminal justice system. All these things are founded upon white supremacy.
I agree. So, and tell us more about your book. Now, the reason why I say more is because he is not new here on Talking the Street Entertainment. However, he's new here as the host for the culture. So let the people know who are listening to you tonight. Tell them about your book Apotheosis and how it collides. Because for me, it collides. Everything about you and how you feel about white supremacy, the politics, and the science, and all of those things that go together. Give us a brief synopsis on Apotheosis and why we should purchase it, support it, share it.
Well, I think personally, you know, and I might be a little biased, but these are the facts, though. I personally feel Apotheosis should have won Book of the Year on everybody's list.
Me too. I do. Like, it ain't biased.
I'm telling you, like, I wrote this book in 2019. The book was published. But, you know, I have been writing this book over a course of years, doing my incarceration. Me and the God Saint, or Quent 100, you know, shout out to the God. But nevertheless, though, you know, like, the book predicts a lot of the things that's transpiring here today. I predicted everything Trump doing right now. I predicted it. What I'm saying, from the standpoint, he was going to say voter fraud is why he lost the election. He was going to bring America on the brink of a civil war. Read the book. It's in there. To the standpoint of how I said that white liberals were going to utilize the Confederate statues and Confederate symbols as a means to generate support from the black community. Read it. It's in there in the book. That's what I'm saying. Like, everything that's transpiring, they want to know what's going on and how blacks need to move to survive, the atrocities and the warmongering that's going on in the world. Read that book, man. I'm giving you the keys to life in that joint, man. Like,
definitely,
so from my standpoint, Queen, like, I think, like, it's no different, like, how you might read in ancient times, wise men came amongst the people as warners, and the people ignored them, you know what I'm saying? And they're the ones who had to reap the consequences of their decisions and their actions. I think black people, time and time again, man, we have an issue with following the real leadership. The real people who come to bring us the truth, we reject it because we buying into the indoctrination we've been given from our enslavement, which caused us to reject our own. You know what I'm saying? For the sake of adhering to a system that's been designed to oppress us from the beginning.
Right.
So, like, that's my standpoint on the Queen.
All right, and so let me ask, do you, for the viewers, okay, King, listen, do you consider yourself a preacher, teacher, or a minister, and why?
Well, I'm a teacher, you know. I'm not a preacher or a minister because, you know, at the end of the day, like, I'm not a man of the cloth. I'm not holier than thou. You know, I view myself as being God. I don't look at something outside of myself as being that which I worship or pray to. Like, I think that we have to look within ourselves for that divinity, that connection to the universe. You feel what I'm saying? So much like society has trained us to look outside of ourselves that you don't even know who you are, because you never really got in touch with who you are.
There's no foundation to begin to. I agree with that. I agree with the way that you put that out there. There's no foundation to begin to look into yourself. So I think the foundation is important.
And I think the more you grow and you connect with self, the more you can begin to see self within all things around you. You know what I'm saying? And that's God. Like, what is more divine and more righteous than that? You know what I'm saying? Like, so from my standpoint, Queen, like, you know, I don't see myself as a minister or a pastor or a preacher. Because at the end of the day, man, like, I'm from the hood, I'm from the streets, same way a lot of individuals from the streets. And I can't meet them standards right. I ain't gonna lie to you. I live righteously, but I'm not a holy man. And that's the difference. So as a teacher, when I'm telling you, like, I do teach because I'm here to drop the knowledge and share the knowledge unselfishly with the world. But at the same time, I'm living what I'm talking about. So if Lord Serious bringing it to you, and I'm telling you, it's because I done already touched it, and it's shown to prove it through my walk. That's what I'm saying. Like,
you heard it here, y'all. Listen, this is For the Culture on Talk of the Street Entertainment Network, Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Listen, Lord Serious, let the people know where they can connect with you, send you any type of mail, get to know you better, purchase your books. Let them know where they can do that at. Like you start saying.
Oh, you can check me out, stay updated, stay in tune with me through my website, LordSerioussSpeaks.com. Also, you can follow me on IG, Instagram, Lord Serious Speaks. You can connect with me on Facebook, my Facebook business page, Lord Serious Speaks. And through all these mediums, we can stay in touch and contact. Or if you feel like signing up on JPay and reaching out to me, my honorable name is James Boughton. My state number is number 1404741. I'm open for it. Hit me up.
Listen, thank you so much. And it's your girl, Lady CEO, a.k.a. Prophetess King X. I'm going to turn this back over to King Quent, everybody.
Okay. Welcome back, people. You tuned in to For the Culture, brought to you by Emoji Nation and Talk of the Streets Entertainment. This your host, King Quent, and we just heard our brother Lord Serious give us a thought-provoking answer to that question. What is white supremacy and why is it so dangerous? If you like what you heard, check the guide out at LordSeriousSpeaks.com. That's LordSeriousSpeaks.com. And stay in tune to all his productions. Next up, we have Markee Claudius, an incarcerated author and criminal justice activist. His new book, Ghetto Poetry, is coming soon. But his debut novel, The Check Game, is in stores right now. Go and get you a copy on Amazon and show the brothers some support. Okay, Markee, it's on you. Tell the people what you think about white supremacy and why it's so dangerous. Peace.
Okay, so let me start this off. What is white supremacy? White supremacy is a system of oppression that holds the ideologies of one specific group of people, white people, above those of every other ethnic group because those groups are deemed intrinsically inferior. It is the epitome of cultural imperialism. It's the belief that everyone is supposed to think like you, act like you, talk like you, look like you, dress like you, eat what you eat, and believe what you believe, whether it's your history, your religion, or philosophy on certain issues. White supremacy is the backbone of the political and socioeconomic dominance of whites seen around the globe today. Now, there are innumerable reasons why white supremacy is dangerous. These 5 that I've thought of are what I consider among the most important of them. Number 1, most times culturally imperialized groups lose their own identity to the dominating white supremacist culture. And there's no better example of this than with African Americans. Most of us have absolutely no connection with our African culture, our tribal culture, our original nationality, or our identity as black people, as African people. And it's because it's all been stolen from us and replaced with a history, a nationality, a culture, and an identity that's not ours. When this happens, you're left with a singular group of people with 2 separate identities, those who've kept their original identity and those who've taken on the identity of their oppressor. This, in turn, creates division among that group, which only helps weaken them against white supremacy. Number 2, culturally imperialized groups subconsciously take on the supremacy mentality of their oppressors and begin believing that since they've assimilated into their oppressor's society and ostensibly been accepted by their oppressors, that they now hold supremacy over others in their own ethnic group who haven't. And there's a lot of examples that can be seen with this, such as the bourgeois middle-class blacks who see themselves as superior to the so-called ghetto lower-class blacks, the blacks with perm European hairstyles versus natural so-called nappy-head black hair, even the views of a lot of African Americans that we hold, or should I say that they hold about Africans. European fashions, are seen in a higher regard than cultural African fashions, etc. There's a lot of examples of this. Number 3, those who don't adhere to the ideologies and standards of white supremacy societies are seen as antisocial. If you don't speak the way they say you should speak, you're deemed illiterate, dumb, and ignorant. If you don't dress the way they say you should dress, you're deemed ratchet. There have even been attempts to ban people with dreadlocks from attending certain schools and being hired for certain jobs because not wearing your hair the way they say it should be worn is seen as an act of rebellion. And not adhering to the standards of white supremacy, this somehow makes you a threat to white supremacy. And when you're a threat to the system of white supremacy, this most definitely makes you an enemy. The number 4 reason why I believe white supremacy is so dangerous is it's human nature for individuals and to a slightly lesser degree for groups of individuals to desire our own unique identity. White supremacy seeks to erase the unique identities of these so-called minorities and groups of minorities, or these so-called groups of people, should I say, and replace them with their own. So in this regard, white supremacy literally goes contrary to human nature. And number 5, the most dangerous thing about this unnatural ideology of white supremacy in societies such as the United States, racial superiority is a disease with which all white people are infected, oftentimes without their own knowledge. And there's a psychological term for this. They call it implicit racial bias, and it has been studied by psychologists for decades. And the effects of it permeate every aspect of society, from our education system to our medical system to our media, employment, banking, and most importantly, our political and criminal justice systems. And that is one reason, the reason for, the explosion in our prison population today, because it permeates, law enforcement, judges, jurors, prosecutors, everybody involved. And like I say, just everywhere in society as a whole. And as a result of implicit racial bias, which is a result of white supremacy, there can be no realistic chance of true equality in either of these systems. And so even when we conform to this system, non-whites will ever attain an equal status in it. And that is why white supremacy is so dangerous. Peace.
Okay, that was a good piece by Brother Markee. Now, Lady CEO, go on, grill him. Let me see what you got to ask him so the people can learn a little more about what the brother was thinking. Here you go.
All right, that's peace. What's going on, everybody? You already know it's your girl, Lady CEO, here on For the Culture this evening. So, look, I got a couple questions for you, Markee. You listening?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay, we just heard your whole bill surrounding white supremacy, but I want to get a little bit personal. I want to know a personal experience that you have had with in dwelling in white supremacy.
Oh, wow. Thank you for asking that question. Well, I'm pretty sure none of you know. Hopefully, you all will know after this interview, but I am the very first person in Virginia to have ever been sentenced to multiple life terms in prison for a robbery in which no violence occurred, no physical violence. So my entire ordeal throughout my judicial process was, every one of my advocates can see like there was racial animus all throughout. The fact that when you look at the national average sentence given for the offense that I'm incarcerated for, it's around 5 to 8 years for the first offense. And this is usually, I'm not sure exactly of the racial statistics, but I'm pretty sure that any amount of research will show that when it comes to, because I know that the statistics of violent crimes in general, Black Americans are sentenced a lot more harshly than white Americans. We comprise the majority of the prison population, whereas whites comprise the majority of those released on probation, parole, alternatives to incarceration. So that's what the statistics say. But me personally, I lived it. I was, given multiple life terms for a sentence that, a similarly situated white man would have likely been given 5 years in prison for. So
right, I see.
Sentenced by a white judge, a white detective, just. I don't even. I'm getting upset. I'm getting a little bit upset, but let's go ahead and.
That's absolutely okay. That's absolutely fine. So, in your predicament that you're in right now, we understand that I assume that you are working on your redemption, as to speak. What would you tell someone on the opposite side of the wall on how to approach this particular situation like you're going through right now?
You mean as far as if they were to be incarcerated or if they were to be to find themselves in trouble?
Yep, find themselves in trouble in a predicament sort of like yours. What would be something, if you could have done anything different during that time, or if you feel like any information that you would have that would have benefited you in the beginning of this process, what would that look like? What is some pointers, some information, some encouragement you can give an individual that's in your same predicament?
The information that I would give people is, if they were to find themselves where in my shoes where I'm now, is to just learn, this is one thing, one phrase we like to use here is that they sat us down. And, so I would take advantage of this opportunity while we're sat down to learn as much about, our own history, and as far, and also the history of those who put you in here, because, like I said, young African-American males are the number one demographic targeted by the criminal justice system. And so once you learn that, you begin realizing that the crime you committed is not why you're in here. Like that process started long before before the circumstances that led to us committing the crime. Being young, being a black male, and being poor. Those three things right there. So there were things dealing with, our upbringing, the environment we grew up in, the schools we attended, all of those influences. So I would tell somebody, who found themselves in my shoes to learn as much as you can about that so that we can reach back out there and help those brothers, who are in those circumstances right now. Because, like I said, long before you get to the point where you break the law, you're already on that path, and that path has been set for you by this white supremacy system that we live in.
I see. Okay, y'all. So listen, Markee, go ahead and plug yourself in. Let the people know how they can connect with you and what you got going on, how they can stay up to date.
Okay, what's going on? My name is Q, Markee, aka Q, and pretty much all I want y'all to know for real, just show y'all love, show y'all support. I got a petition right now on change.org. Basically, I got 17 years left, but with enough support and advocacy from the public, I could be home within the next year or so. So go on change.org, type in my name, Markee Clardy, first name spelled Marqui, last name Clardy, and check it out and just show y'all support. Sign a petition. Also, I got a novel on Amazon called The Check Game. My pen name is Kingpin, so you'll see the Check Game by Kingpin and Keita Rain. And also, I got another novel that's coming out, hopefully within the next 6 months or so, called Ghetto Poetry. That'll be on Amazon as well. And that's just just show y'all support, man. Show y'all love, and God willing, we'll make something happen. So, peace.
Okay, y'all. Well, you already know it's your girl, Lady CEO, and that was Markee that we was building with. All right. If you have any additional questions or you have any extra information that you would need on this subject, then you know what to do. Hit us up, and we'll get back to you. I'm going to turn this back over to King Quent. King Quent?
Peace. Markee, that was peace. It made me think of something I read. It says that every incarcerated black man is a political prisoner. Because although his act might not have been an act against the state explicitly, everything the state does is an act against him. So I just want to say that was peace. That was peace. I hope y'all enjoying For the Culture. Let me go and take my shot at this question. What is white supremacy and why is it so dangerous? Well, to me, white supremacy is simply the belief in the supremacy of whiteness and white interests. It's the stance that white values, ideas, technology, behaviors, and other white constructs are the best ways for people to think, operate, and engage within those spheres. See, in a white supremacist paradigm, everything is interpreted from the viewpoint of white people, from the way that man relates to man, to nature, and even to God. And because white isn't always right, especially when it concerns us as black people and our interests, that is always a dangerous stance to take. Dr. Cress Wesley, in her book, The ISIS Papers, offers a poignant definition of white supremacy. And in it, she notes that identification with whiteness can be consciously or subconsciously determined. This means that you do not have to have white skin to practice white supremacy. True enough, the system was originally structured by people who saw themselves as white because of their skin, but today the system is maintained through the explicit or implicit cooperation of most non-whites who subconsciously identify with these white interests. This is what we are facing today, and this is one of the things that makes the system so dangerous. Through an extensive propaganda campaign waged for century upon century, white supremacy and its corollary, black inferiority, have become the status quo. We really believe that white people and white cultures are the best people and best cultures on the earth. And as a result, we have started to develop an aversion for our own people, our own cultures, our own history, and this continues to place limitations on our power. All of the things that we aspire toward have been validated by the standards of whiteness, as if powerful groups will ever teach powerless groups how to take their power from them. Just think about it. How can we ever expect to gain our liberation when our scholars, journalists, teachers, and other academics are seeking validation from the very system that is keeping them oppressed? So what happens is, instead of aiding in our liberation, the white supremacist system co-opts them into keeping us enslaved. And this isn't happening in lecture halls. It's everywhere, inside your very home. Parents are teaching their children the things that they think are right and correct for their survival, but these are the things that they themselves learn trying to be survived as a person under the influence of white supremacy. So whenever you just go with the flow and accept the way things are, whose interests are you ultimately serving? We can never forget that the aims, interests, and goals of white people are not intended to benefit us. They are meant to divide us, to keep us from amassing real power. See, white supremacists know that their power rests on our weakness, and therefore our gains being their losses. They must keep us divided. It is the only choice. It's impossible for 40 people to control 440 people if their 440 started to work together. Just think about it. Tribalism, gang warfare, political infighting, class struggling, religious mythology, all of these things are just illusions and distractions that this system uses to maintain their power over the rest of us. We have to never forget that the primary goal of white supremacy is to try and defeat the conscientization of African people. This means that in the principle of reverse, the unified consciousness, the national consciousness, is the only way that we will get our liberation. Our current fragmented and confused minds only serve their interests. And that is why white supremacy is so dangerous. Because essentially, white supremacy keeps us as a people in a state of subjection, bestial thinking, animalistic behavior, and all other things less than our true godlike state that were ordained for us by the Creator. All right, now, y'all know I'm not exempt for the format, so Lady CEO, I know you got something to ask me. Go ahead. I'm ready.
I do actually. So you guys know, if you are a family here on Talk of the Street Entertainment Network, no matter what night it is or day, then this is not your first time hearing King Quent. I want to shout you out once again for a phenomenal show this evening. For it to be your first show, I enjoyed it very much, and I hope that the family does as well. For those of you who's your first time tuning in, welcome. You family now. All right. So anyway, King Quent, your song, Conspiracy Theory, all right, is in heavy rotation on Talk Street Radio, okay? And it also includes a little spill at the end from this nice man, okay? But anyway, tell us what the passion was behind creating Conspiracy Theory. What was that like for you? Give us some spill.
Oh man, Conspiracy Theory. For those that don't know, that's on my album, The Black Messiah Project, by Quent 100. But that project was, it's divinely inspired, I guess. Like, I had just heard the beat and I started writing. But the idea was, I knew I was going to make a project called The Black Messiah Project. And it was really paying homage to Black Messiah, which is the first one of Father Allah's students in the Nation of Gods and Earths, as well as the idea of the COINTELPRO, which is what that speech is on the end talking about, on how they said that, their agenda was to prevent the rise of the Black Messiah. And so me thinking like, man, In today's world, you know, the 21st century, most of I call them philosopher poets when they're doing what they're supposed to do. Some people just call them rappers, but they have more influence than the preacher or than the, you know, the Farrakhan's or the, you know, the ministers, the politicians. Like Jay-Z really has more cultural influence than Barack Obama did. You know what I'm saying? So I felt like as an artist, I wanted to contribute to that and kind of show that you can never prevent the rise of the Black Messiah as long as we rise up. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause we out here. It's many other than myself that's really talking the truth or trying their best to, through their music. So that was kind of the energy I brought to when sitting down and writing that song. I'm just going to tell the truth. I'm going to speak my piece. You know what I'm saying? Tell the truth. And then hit them with a jewel at the end. Cause I know if I get you listening, you will stay tuned for something that's way deeper than what I was rapping about, which is the facts. You know what I'm saying? Cause this ain't just a song. Those are the facts of what's going on in America. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I can dig it. All right. And next, about For the Culture, okay? Shout out to Emoji Nation, the family, okay? But For the Culture, tell the people how you came up with this concept and this name surrounded by For the Culture. What's going on with that? And your people that you got with you. Shout out to Lord Serious. Shout out to Markee. And how did it all form about? What's in that head of yours?
Shoot, I'm gonna keep it real simple. For the Culture, first I was thinking about Emoji Talk as the name of the show. Me and Lord Service was brainstorming, and then it was like, bro, I ain't really think that's it. And he said, well, since you feel that way, I had some ideas. And one of those ideas was do it for the culture. And I was like, nah, let's just say for the culture. Because essentially that's what this is. This is a show for the culture. Just everything we do is for the culture, from the music to the books, you know, the radio show. Everything is for the culture, our people. So that's where it came down to. Everything you hear on this show is going to be for the culture.
I can dig it. Okay. Well, that's all I got for you guys. You already know it's your girl, Lady CEO. Make sure you tune in to Talk of the Streets Tuesday night, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to turn this back over to King Quent. There you go.
All right. Yeah, man, I'm going to close this show out. I just want y'all to know that, you know, we're talking about white supremacy today, and why it's so dangerous. And, I just think, like, when you look around at the condition of our people, what we are seeing today is the effects of white supremacy. You know, our children are being raised in environments designed to make them inferior. They're being socialized into a role to be cheap labor and scapegoats for this country. We being led away from our true selves and to drug dealers and gangsters and addicts and degenerates and liars and thieves and prostitutes and all these things that are less than our godlike state. And this is intentional. Like, that's the key. This is intentional. This is not because of our own moralistic flaws or our own human weaknesses. It is actually a system designed to take advantage of our natural human impulses and guide those impulses in a way that uses your own human nature against you. And that's sick. So I just want you to know that. You know, I want to make sure that that's understood, that after everything you heard today, I hope you understand that the problem or the cause, what you are up against, is white supremacy, and white supremacy seeks to divide. There's white supremacy 101. And so the only answer or combat into white supremacy is unity. You know what I'm saying? Unity for peace, protection, and power. Unity in aims, agenda, and ideals. We have to come together. We have to learn. We have to study. We have to teach. And we have to make this our number one mission. And it's not just about black people, because white supremacy do the whole humanity a disfavor. Because when you don't consider the contributions of all peoples and all cultures in the world, all technology, all progress is retarded. It's slowed down. It's pushed back. So we all will benefit from the eradication of white supremacy. Black, brown, red, yellow, even white. And this is what Emoji Nation is working towards. And I hope y'all can come join us in this. With that, I'll be peace, man. Peace.
Listen, baby, and that was For the Culture, the newest show here on Talk of the Street Entertainment Network, featuring host King Quent, Lord Serious, and King Markee, y'all. Make sure you stay right here. Get your alerts going on. Stay connected, because each and every Friday evening, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch the information you need to hear and stick under your pillow, share with your friends, give it to your family, right here on Talk of the Street Entertainment Network, baby. It's for the culture. And I'm Lady CEO. Talk to you guys next week. But before you go, I want you to take a listen to the end of this track here. It's some important information that you can just stash away, right? Something you may not know. This track is called Conspiracy Theory, and it's been playing on and off throughout the show here tonight on For the Culture. Conspiracy Theory is created by artist Quent 100, a.k.a. King Quent, a.k.a. Saint Sincere Quintessence, I lie, baby. Listen to this.
Although COINTELPRO began its operational life by targeting first the Communist Party, then the Socialist Workers' Party, and other such time-honored targets, it rapidly shifted emphasis with the rise of the civil rights movement during the early 1960s. Shortly, we find Hoover returning to his Marcus Garvey theme, stipulating in an internal memorandum circulated to 23 field offices that a primary objective of COINTELPRO should be to, quote, prevent the rise of a black messiah, end quote. And he meant that in terms, as he spelled out, as being any individual capable of galvanizing the African-American population, politically. The Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and Stokely Carmichael are named as individuals who might potentially have fulfilled this role. Agents were instructed to devise, again I'm quoting, imaginative, hard-hitting programs to neutralize these individuals and others like them. Malcolm X was assassinated soon thereafter, ostensibly as part of a factional dispute within the black Islamic community. A January 22, 1969 FBI memorandum, however, essentially takes credit for this outcome and goes on to suggest comparable operations be directed against other black nationalists. Dr. King was assassinated next under circumstances involving FBI complicity, at least to the extent of covering up by whom and how and why he was killed. And that's a conclusion, not of a radical author or a researcher out here, but of a congressional committee. At about the same time, Carmichael was driven into exile, the victim of an FBI bad jacket, which is a particular counterintelligence technique to make someone who's a bona fide activist appear to be something else, like an infiltrator. They usually use infiltrators to put bad jackets on people. So you have this interesting situation within movements, within organizations, where infiltrators are casting the real activists as being infiltrators and bringing about their expulsion or their political neutralization. Well, this is what was done to Stokely. He was portrayed as a CIA operative through the planning of a goldenrod copy of a dummied up informant report to that agency. There's a little interesting interagency dynamic that goes on. The CIA personnel always want to make these guys look to be FBI infiltrators, and the FBI returns the favor by making them out to be CIA plants, Okay, this is followed up by a series of anonymous telephone calls to his mother warning her that he was to be executed as a traitor by a number of his erstwhile political colleagues. Okay. That's the big three that were named as being a potential black messiah. 2 dead and 1 driven completely out of the country. Meanwhile, the Bureau was directly involved in a much wider pattern of repression of the civil rights movement. For instance, one of its contract employees, Gary Rowe, this is just one guy now, assisted in the planning of and actually participated in the axe handle beatings of freedom riders during 1962 and 63, was accused on fairly good evidence, was never convicted of it, but was accused of personally murdering an Afro-American demonstrator in 1963, is known to have helped plan the 1963 16th Street Baptist church bombing in Birmingham, resulting in the deaths of 4 black children, and was in the Ku Klux Klan vehicle from which the bullets were fired, which killed organizer Viola Riuzzo in 1965, and the guy was taken to trial by the state of Mississippi several years later and accused of having actually fired a bullet. Now, the whole time this is going on, he's doing these things, he's working for the FBI. He's on the payroll. According to FBI COINTELPRO chief William Sullivan, he was assistant director of the Bureau at the time, in his autobiographical account, the Bureau, his agents, this is Sullivan's agents, had achieved complete control over the Mississippi Ku Klux Klan chapter by early 1964. More than 300 bombings and 10 murders were attributed